Yo, what's up? Welcome back. Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. Just a couple of average bros with above average fantasy football knowledge. Your boy T here, joined by Mr. Miyagi, mad scientist. We got Anthony here, Mr. 645.
Mr. Disturbed.
Mr. 645 live in the building. He's not feeling too good though.
That's why I call myself.
I can't do both.
Sorry.
I can't do both. You can't do the intro and do drops.
So really? So you're not
right this second I can't. Later on maybe I can.
Wait, you can't.
Because you're just sitting there egging me on. But hold on. What are we talking about today?
You gotta get better at us when we're trying to.
I know. Well, listen, dude. It's a work in progress, bro.
We're getting there. We can't multitask.
It's just science, dude. There's a lot going on, okay?
All right, well, this episode right here, we're going to go over the first half of the matchups for the week. Pretty much all the morning games. So it's going to run through them. Some players we like, some players we don't like. Just kind of go over some news as we're going along. And then listen to the next episode where we go over the other half of the matchups.
You want to tell them what games we're going over right now? Real fast?
The
Just
morning
name 'em.
games, so you got the Titans, Falcons, you got the Browns, Ravens, Patriots, Bills, the Chiefs and the Lions, Panthers, Texans, Raiders, Colts, Chargers, Dolphins, Redskins, Giants.
So if you didn't hear that, your team on there, that's so you go to the part 2 episode and we'll be breaking down the rest of these games on there. So if you don't hear it there and you want to just like there's a specific game you want to go check out, it'll be on the second episode. That's all I want to get out there.
For sure. So Average Bros exclusive.
Yeah, we got news out here, dude. We got new things happening in the Average Bros fantasy football world.
Mike, you want to tell these people what's going on? Tell them to shut their lips and learn right now.
Shut their lips and learn.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Well, you just did.
No, you did.
Which lips? You know what I'm talking about? Our first announcement we have for the podcast 2019 season 2. It's official. The Average Bros. That's our new announcement thing. Fuck a siren, dude. We're just doing. Wait, how do I do it?
Just try to get better at this.
Well, I got to move my fucking desk. That's the problem. That's our official. There's an announcement to be made.
All right, so what is that announcement?
The Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast has a sponsor.
I want a 5-knuckle shuffle about somebody right now.
What did you hear that? We have a sponsor. Thrive Fantasy. Thrive Fantasy is a fantasy app. It's a daily fantasy or weekly fantasy, I guess you could say. It's for prop bets. So we've looked into this. We've actually used it, even though we're in Nevada. It's hard. You can't really use it in Nevada, but any other state, you're able to use it for the most part. So let me give you a little ad read here. They've streamlined the drafting process and eliminated the need to do unnecessary hours of research by using only top tier athletes. Yeah, they don't really have like Trey Quinn or these sleeper guys in these. It's mostly like Christian McCaffrey's over-unders, stuff like that. Instead of a traditional salary cap format, you build your lineup around a list of prop bets. For each contest, you need to choose 10 of the 20 prop bets plus 2 ice picks just in case like a game's delayed or postponed. You have like a backup basically. And each unique prop has an over and under point value, and based on whether or not you get that right, you get a certain amount of points. If it's harder, like if the over is more points, like say it's like plus 140 or something like that, 120 or something, it's going to be more extra points than if you were to bet the under. And then at the end of the week, you be rewarded that point value if that prop is correct. For example, will Tom Brady throw over or under 250 yards? That kind of stuff.
Of course he will. He's fucking Tom fucking Brady, bro.
Hey,
Fucking have 250 yards in the fucking first quarter, bro.
So
I'm taking the under on that.
How are you going to use this app? How are you going to get what's the point? Why do you want to use it? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the average bro's got your back. If you put $10 into the Thrive Fantasy app right now and use promo code Average Bros when you sign up, and there's no spaces, it's not case sensitive, just Average Bros. Spell that right. If you don't know how to spell right, maybe you don't get the free $10.
Maybe,
you know what I mean?
Maybe you're below average.
All right. So, Average Bros is the promo code, and they will match you $10. So if you put $200 in there, they're not going to match you $200. They're going to give you an extra 10. So you 10 for 10, 20 for 10. You know, you get the deal. We tried it out. It works pretty well. It's actually a pretty dope app. So check it out.
Average Bros, one word, right?
Average Bros, one word.
How many S's?
I could just do it all over and over again, all day, dude.
Let's just play the whole episode. Just make like a 2-hour loop.
I should, right? All right, so let's get into these matchups, though.
All right, so yeah. But, hey, good shit. First official sponsor. Hopefully many more to come.
Do I feel rich? Yes.
Yeah. Dude, you're a multi-thousandaire, dude.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
Here's the thing.
All right, let's jump into the first matchup right here. Let's talk some fantasy football.
Fantasy football.
So you got the Tennessee Titans. They're traveling to Atlanta. They're going to play the Falcons. The Falcons are -4 with a 45.5 point over-under. Like Mike always touches on when we go over these games, I'll kind of just touch on it too. When we say -4, that means that team is favored by that many points to win the game. And then the over-under, obviously, is how many total points they think is projected throughout the game. So on the Titans side of the ball here, I mean, outside of maybe Derrick Henry and Delaney Walker, I feel like for the Titans every week it's like that. I mean, are you really starting anybody?
No, I was going to say it's pretty much took the words in my mouth. It's Derrick Henry, and Delaney.
I think as long as Marcus Mariota is starting, that's going to be the case.
Yeah. Did you see that crazy stat I posted on Derrick Henry about like his last 500 carries against Zeke's last 500 carries?
I don't remember.
I might have actually got deleted, but
pull it up.
Pull it out.
I don't know. It was just a crazy stat saying like over his last 500 carries compared to Zeke's 500 carries, he has like 10 more touchdowns. He's got like I think it was like they each had like 2,400 yards or something like that, but his yards per carry was like 5.2 and Zeke's was only like 4.7 or something like that. So it was weird and it's a crazy stat.
But I do feel like you can obscure stats to go in anybody's favor, but that is if you really, I mean, past 500 carries, that's
a good healthy workload right there.
Right.
But yeah, like I said, I mean, on that side, it's just Derrick Henry and Delaney Walker. What about the Titans' defense, though? Could it be sneaky?
Yeah, I mean, I think Matt Ryan leads the league in interceptions right now. So I like the Titans' defense this week.
Yeah, I think it's one of those plays where like I'm pretty low on defenses, or not low on defenses, but I always play the streaming route, and a lot of the better options are taken, and the Titans are one of the teams I'm considering streaming this week. It's either them or the Panthers. And basically, you said it's who Matt Ryan throwing all the picks, or I got Deshaun Watson, who's the most sacked quarterback in the league. So it's like, but like I said, that's kind of where I'm at in that predicament, where I have to look at these two defenses and make a decision.
Right,
for sure. All right, on the Atlanta side of the ball, speaking of Matty Ice, he does lead the league in picks. I think he's got 6 already.
Yeah.
So, but for Matty Ice, though, he's got 300 or plus passing yards in all 3 games. So, granted, he's throwing some picks, but he's putting up 300 plus yards, and he's throwing multiple touchdown passes. I mean, is he a guy for him? I mean, I have him in a league. I got to throw him in there.
Did you say is he a guy?
Is he a guy? Matt Ryan, is he a guy?
But just one thing for him, he leads the NFL in terms of end zone throws. So throws obviously being targeted in the end zone. He's got 12 of those through the first 3 weeks, and that's the most in the NFL. So you like seeing that, at least when they're getting close. They're not really running the ball; they're throwing it. And I mean, we've kind of seen it with Julio Jones. One of the things on him always was he wasn't getting the touchdowns, but I think he's got like 7 straight games with a touchdown.
I think it's more.
Yeah,
or maybe he has 10 touchdowns in 7 games.
Yeah, it's something like that. But he's a touchdown machine now. So I actually do like Matty Ice in this game. I know the Titans' defense is pretty good, and their front 7 is what's good to me, in my opinion. I know the ranking looks pretty bad on paper, but the quarterbacks that the Titans have played have been Baker Mayfield, Jacoby Brissett, and Uncle Rico Minshew the second. So not the greatest list of quarterbacks that they've had to go against.
For sure.
Now you get Matty Ice, who's obviously he's always better at home. And when you got weapons like Julio Jones, Sanu, Calvin Ridley, Austin Hooper, even Devontae Freeman out of the backfield, I like Matty Ice this week, actually.
Yeah, he's a lot colder at home.
Ice cold.
Got him.
For the running back wise, Devontae Freeman, he kind of had a better game last week. I think we all kind of thought, he was due to have a pretty big game. With that being said, though, like I said, the Titans' front seven's pretty good. I'm kind of scared for Devontae Freeman this game.
Sorry, I'm looking up some fantasy stuff for us.
Just because they have a really good front seven, the Titans, and I don't know. He hasn't found the end zone yet.
He's been kind of struggling this year.
Yeah, he's been struggling a little bit, but I mean the matchups have been pretty tough for them, and even the schedule going forward when I was looking at it wasn't the greatest either. I mean, I've thought about trying to buy him on the low, but then also I'm like, ooh, a
little scared.
I'm a little scared that, like I said, the schedule going forward is pretty tough for them.
Yeah, I think the thing with Devontae Freeman is I think I know we liked him as we kind of but you would kind of figure that he would get more involved in the passing game, maybe closer to years past. And I think when Cutter was the offensive coordinator, that's back when he had his 60 reception type of seasons, and he's not really getting necessarily involved the way he was the first time around when Cutter was in the offense. But yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. As I was thinking of do I buy Devontae Freeman, do I not? But I'm kind of just I feel like he's an RB low end 2 at this point right now, but he's someone even week to week. I don't know if I'm going to trust in every matchup. Last week he got a bump in carries because Ito Smith was out, but. He was still in a timeshare with Ito Smith, I don't think he's that good. But.
Yeah, because there's a lot of talk about Ito Smith taking that role. I don't believe so, but there's some people that think that. Do you guys believe that?
Like taking the starting role?
Yeah.
No, I don't think he'd take the starting role. But
people are saying that he's creeping in there.
Yeah, but he's taking that. Freeman didn't perform the first 2 games, but that was 2 games. It's a 2-game sample. It's a very small sample. But those rushing attempts were 8 and 11. The first 2 games when Ito Smith was there, and then Ito Smith went down, he had 16 carries. And that's what you want to see. If he's going to be an RB2, you can kind of week to week trust and count on. You want that 16 carry range. But if he's around the 8, 9, 10 type of range, and he's not scoring a lot of touchdowns, he's going to kind of, it's going to be a hard RB2 to kind of trust week to week.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you like him this week?
It's a tough matchup this week. I mean, I feel like after him, if you have him, he's been disappointing you. He had a pretty decent game last week, so you probably think maybe it's turning around. I would just temper expectations again. You might be in for another rough sledding in this one.
Yeah, I think he's in the flex conversation.
Yeah.
Would you play him or Frank Gore?
Him.
Devonta Freeman.
Well, I guess that's not that.
Even with what's his name out, because Frank Gore's going against
Sonny
the
Michel or Devontae Freeman?
Devonta Freeman.
If Burkhead's out for some reason, then maybe I'd go with Michelle. But if Burkhead's playing, because Burkhead's questionable right now,
right?
Then I'd maybe even that standard I'd go Michelle. PPR I'd go Freeman. If Burkhead's out, Burkhead's that key factor.
Yeah, for sure. So the receivers here, you got Julio Jones. You down him up. What about Calvin Ridley? Because I think some people are panicking after the 1-catch performance in week 3. After week 1 and week 2, he had a really good.
Calvin Ridley, he had a couple games like that last year. Where I think he went off, and then he had it happens.
Yeah, it's just a bad week. I mean, I can't really buy him because I think I have him in every league. So, but I mean, it happens. It's gonna happen. I don't think he'll see 1 target again in the year. I think that was just a fluke game. It just but. Wide receiver 3, week in and week out with the upside he has with Matt Ryan. There's not a lot of wide receiver 2s on a team their team. Julio's the one that offer us the upside he does
for sure. And Austin Hoopa Scoopa. I think with the tight end landscape, you're pretty much starting him every week just because it's a pretty good offense.
Yeah, it's a good offense. They have kind of been struggling to run the ball, so they're throwing a little bit more. Their defense was supposed to be better this year, but it doesn't seem to be better. So Matt Ryan's kind of chucking it like he was last year, and they just lost their safety. I know that with Neal or whatever.
Oh yeah, Keanu.
Yeah, so that
Keanu
hurts
Neal.
their defense too. So I mean, like I said, good offense at home. He's extra iced, and he's you get targets from Hooper. You're gonna have some dud games, but every tight end has dud games. But you do have those games where he goes out and gets 7 receptions, which in a PPR format, it's hard to find that from a tight end.
For sure. All right, Falcons defense, not starting them. Like I said, they've already taken some injuries on the defense side of the ball. Jumping to the next matchup, we got the Cleveland Browns. They're going to go to Baltimore and play the Ravens. The Ravens are -7, 45-point over-under. On the Cleveland side of the Brown, I mean, what's your guys' thoughts on Baker Mayfield?
Cleveland side of the Brown.
What I say?
You said on the Cleveland side of the Brown.
Oh, the Cleveland side of the Brown. Oh, the Cleveland side of the ball.
That was like a laugh cough.
What about?
Oh, sorry.
The Bake Show. What's your thoughts on him?
Mr. Hulu commercials?
Yeah. Dude, hey, can I really quick you just remind me when you said that when we were at the baseball game on Tuesday, me and my friend Blake, we were really drunk and we just kept going in the bath. Like when everybody was leaving, we're in the bathroom. It's filled with people. Everybody's pisses before they leave, and and we just kept doing commercials. And I kept he was like 6 urinals over. I was like, "Yo, Blake, did you hear that Hulu has live sports?" And he's like, "No way, Hulu has live sports." And we just kept fucking doing it. And everybody's like, they're like, "Does Hulu really have live sports?" I'm like, "Dude, Hulu has live sports."
Use promo code Average Bros.
It's really funny, but yeah, he's in. That's all I see him doing good recently is collecting money from Hulu commercials.
Yeah. I think the Ravens defense hasn't been what it was over the years.
They're still not bad.
Prior. No, it's still not a bad defense. It is in Baltimore too as well. But I mean, if it's not for OBJ taking like a touchdown to the house and making some like big plays, I mean, Baker's been bad in the red zone, I think, that's the difference this year. I think he was like last year he was like one of the top red zone quarterbacks, and this year I don't know where he's at ranking wise, but I know he's been struggling. That line isn't playing very well. I don't think I'd be trusting starting him in this matchup, me personally.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. I mean, I'm always thinking like outside perspective, like the environment, like traveling to Baltimore. That's got to be one of the toughest places to play, I would imagine. Like I said, defense isn't as what it was, but still legit. And like I forget what I think we were watching. Maybe it was the Rams and Browns game.
Yeah,
but I'll say he's just like running around with a chicken with his head cut off.
Yeah.
Every play. He's got like happy feet.
Wait, so he has the chicken in his hands? With the head
He's running around.
He's running around with the chicken.
So chicken has her head cut off. So does Baker Mayfield.
They're both just...
But you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
They switched heads. No, I know what you mean though. You did point that out, and I while we were watching the game, it's like he's like, I mean, he did have Aaron Donald and Clay Matthews coming at him on both sides. So,
yeah,
but.
And then I was listening to a different podcast or reading something they're saying, but every time he does scramble like that, he just always scrambles out to the right. Like it's like he's not.
That's his go-to.
Yeah, so they were saying like defenses are gonna like blitz on one side, make him go to the right. Because that's what he does every single time.
Right.
One thing I just say about him, the schedule is really rough until about week 10. But after that, if someone drops him or maybe double quarterback league, he's your backup. Weeks 11 through 15 are pretty good. So down the stretch, he could be a guy who you pick up and maybe later. But I think better days are ahead for him.
Yeah,
I'd be fading him in this one though.
Yeah, I mean Baltimore's given up 290 yards there, but still, like you said, I'd stream Case Keenum over him.
Yeah, there's
really
places.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'd be dropping Baker. I mean, I've seen people being dropping him, or I think that's kind of crazy.
I mean, that's not that crazy of a drop, but I mean, I took Lamar Jackson after people picked up Baker Mayfield in a lot of leagues.
Yeah, he was going pretty high.
Would you start Andy Dalton or Baker Mayfield?
Probably Baker. I don't know. That sounds gross.
Gross. Yeah, that's yeah. Do you want poop or poop? That's all that you just asked.
I think I'm trying to think actually too. I think I'd go Dalton.
And it's gotta be. You could probably stream some better quarterbacks if that's the case. Get like a Stafford. I mean,
Stafford's actually taken in a lot of leagues. I haven't seen Stafford. I think in every league I'm in, I don't see him out there. He's pretty much being held on to by people.
Yeah, Keenum, like you said, I'd rather sort of Keenum over him. But let's so Nick Chubb, you're down him up. He's getting a healthy workload each and every week. He's a set it and forget it, especially getting all the goal line carries. And then Odell, he does what he does. But let's talk about Jarvis Landry because I feel like he's got like the name and
motherfucker.
I feel like people just like, oh, Jarvis Landry, they want to play him, but he just hasn't really been producing. I mean, for me, he's more of like a wide receiver 3, like flex guy, and he's like a low end flex guy at best. There's.
Yeah, I think that with Odell there, that he kind of it's, like a big wide receiver like that, like a guy, he almost demands a certain amount of touches or a certain amount of targets in a game. Yeah. So I feel like Baker kind of just like forcing that, and I think Jarvis Landry gets left in the dust.
Well, Jarvis Landry is actually getting a decent amount of targets. Sorry, my finger just deleted everything. His target share for the last 3 games is 7.79. Which is a pretty good amount of targets. The thing is like Jarvis Landry isn't one of those receivers who's gonna, he's not gonna go for a 30-yard catch here and there, or he's not gonna break a 60-yard touchdown catch. He's more of like a intermediate route type of slot guy
He's like a Fitzgerald.
Yeah, like Fitzgerald was like like an Edelman basically, but it's not as many touchdowns. Well, Edelman doesn't score touchdowns really either. I think his highest he's ever had is like 6 or something. Like that. But yeah, he's not a high touchdown guy. He's kind of that more 10 yards per catch. So it's like when he gets 5 catches, it's more of like 55 yards. If he gets 7 catches, he's going to be in like the 70 range. He's kind of like a 10 yard per catch guy. So his upside is just limited, and then the offense isn't really clicking yet on all cylinders. So I mean, Landry's someone I'm benching right now until if this offense gets going.
Yeah.
Tight end, there's no one there. Njoku's on IR.
He's dead.
And then the Browns defense. I mean, you think Browns defense could be sneaky? Well, actually, you know what? I think they're going to miss a couple corners still.
Yeah, I think they're still supposed to miss her, but nah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not starting against the Ravens.
I don't like the Browns defense.
Sure. I mean, I don't think Lamar Jackson takes a lot of sacks. Just in general, he's fast.
Yeah, he's fast.
He's elusive.
He's elusive and fast.
Right, speaking of Lamar Jackson, is your breathing Lamar Jackson? You're starting up Lamar Jackson. You're starting Mark Ingram. Mark Andrews, he had a bad game last week, but I mean, still, weeks 1, weeks 2, over 100+ yards. I mean, you're dialing him up. What about like Marquise Brown though? You throwing him in your lineup?
I mean, with the corners being out, yeah, I feel like his target share is. I mean, he's still getting. I know he didn't have like a big explosive game again, but his targets, 5, 13, 9. So he's the target leader there. Like no one, Willie Snead's had a 5. Outside of that, no one else has even came close from the wide receiver position. So, like you said, with the 2 corners down, I mean, he's got one play and he can, in a sense, not winning your week, but make a difference that week. So, you fire him up, I think.
Yeah, for sure. You guys like Ravens defense? Trying to sack Happy Feet back there with the
chicken in his hand.
Yeah, with the chicken in his hand with his head cut off.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, obviously, like we've learned that after they traded the offensive lineman over to New York, I think.
Yeah.
Baker's been in trouble. So yeah, I love Ravens defense.
They're available in a good amount of leagues too. So if you're streaming defenses, they're probably there.
Yeah.
Next matchup, you got the Patriots. They're -7. Going to Buffalo, going to play the Bills. 43-point over/under. Fucking start with Tom fucking Brady. So you say no under 250 yards for Tom Brady?
Yeah, I'm gonna say no.
What do you think? You starting Tom Brady?
I'm not. That doesn't mean he's not gonna throw touchdowns.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying yardage wise.
Tom Brady,
4 touchdowns, 239 yards.
I know Buffalo generally that it's a tough
I'll say
place
he throws 2 touchdowns. It's
almost like I'm sure his record's not as bad. Well, they fucked this up this year, but I know he does in Buffalo. That the Bills always keep these games really tight and they play them a lot better.
I like the Bills +7 in Buffalo. The Bills have been pretty good.
3-0.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's so crazy. The Bills are 3-0 and the Steelers are 0-3.
Times are changing.
The times they are a changing.
The Big Ben dynasty's done.
I guess, dude. But yeah, I like the Bills +7 in this game actually. But what were we talking about?
Patriots side of the ball. Who you dialing up?
Obviously, if Rex Burkhead's out, I like Sony Michel. Bills. I think Bills have made some defensive moves though. So, what do you boys think?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I just deleted everything on accident, but I mean, you still start Tom Brady. I mean, unless you have unless you have another top 8 option. I know Buffalo's tough, but he's been throwing a lot of, I think three touchdowns in maybe every game.
I don't know. They've just been smacking people.
So it's like,
well, but the Patriots have played you guys in fucking
third string quarterback.
who else?
yeah, and then the
Falk,
Steelers.
and then a piece of shit.
There's no excuse for that first game. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, those defenses are nowhere near what the Bills' defense is. The Bills' defense is, I mean, they were the number 2 defense last year overall as far as like yardage and all that, and they're playing at pretty much the same level. I mean, if Edelman's out though, that's something where we gotta like, he's questionable as of right now. I think he'll play, but if he's out for some reason, Tom Brady does take a hit right there.
Yeah,
that's somewhere where if you're on the fence,
That's a Philip Dorsett show or what?
I mean, maybe. Could be. I mean, Gordon's going to be going against Tre'Davious White, so it's going to be a little bit of a harder day for him. And then if Edelman's out, Philip Dorsett or James White might have one of those games where he has 16 targets for 10 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown or 2.
Yeah.
So that's something to like kind of monitor.
Yeah.
I do like Philip Dorsett, even going forward. His week 1 snap percentage, 87% of the snaps. Then AB comes into town for week 2 for that one game. They dip down, but no AB anymore. 92% of the snaps in week 3. So he's seeing the field a ton. His guy's a former first-round draft pick, so don't sleep on that. And like I said, if Edelman was to miss, if Gordon's going to take these number 1 corners. And like I think I touched on in the waiver wire episode with Mike, like Tom Brady trusts him for some reason. He's targeting him. I know he's getting a ton of touchdowns, he's probably not going to sustain that going forward. But when you got Tom Brady throwing you the ball, you're on the field 90+% of the snaps, good things are going to happen.
Right.
It's the running backs. I feel like they get tricky here. I mean, everyone was drafting Sony Michel, pretty high. Then you got Burkhead, who went undrafted pretty much, and then James White, who's going those middle rounds. James White didn't play last week. He missed the game due to the birth of his child. And then the thing that bothered me with that game was like they were smacking. Who are they playing? The Jets. They're smacking the Jets, and you just think this is a Sony Michel game. He's gonna get 20 carries, like 100 yards, 80, 100 yards, touchdown or 2. They're in control the whole time. I mean, what's your guys' thoughts? Because he only played 17 snaps, and Burkhead played like 40 or something like that. And he's been out playing him.
In this matchup, I'm not starting Sony Michel. And like I said, unless Burkhead's out, then it's like reconsider at that point what your options are. And he's more of a standard play than a PPR play. I actually like James White in this matchup. I think like I said, even Edelman not practicing all week. Maybe more of the game plan is let's get James White on these underneath passes a lot. Maybe Josh Gordon's getting locked up a little bit by Tre'Davious White. In a PPR format, is for sure. I actually think James White's a good play.
Yeah, I mean, he just had a baby too. I feel like he's gonna have extra motivation to come out and kind of, play.
It's for my baby.
Yeah,
he's up to about 4.5.
4.5.
One thing I guess we could say too is if Edelman's out, I do like Burkhead's value just because being that pass catching guy, and I don't know why people keep sleeping on Sexy Rexy, but
I think his own percentage has gone up significantly since this past week. But
Sony Michel just doesn't look that good. I don't know if he's. I don't know. Who knows? But we got a guy like Rex Burkhead who's out here. He's got over 100 total rushing yards and over 100 total receiving yards already through 3 games. You'd like to see that. Patriots side, defense, 43 over-under is pretty low. Nah, I probably have better options. You got the Chargers available out there somewhere.
Patriots defense?
Yeah, I'm talking about there's probably better options.
I think everyone has the Chargers
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
It's too late for that.
Yeah. Too late for the Redskins in one of our leagues.
Yeah.
Your boy got him.
All right. On the Bills side of the ball, Josh Allen. I saw a stat saying that he scrambles more than any quarterback so far this year. So he's always going to offer you like that safe floor of like the rushing upside. What do you think the ceiling is for this game though?
I think New England's probably one of the better. Honestly, I know you guys said there might be better matchups for defenses, but New England's like actual team wise, I feel like New England's defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I don't think his ceiling's as high. I think you do have that floor. I mean, I have Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen in a league, and I'm playing Lamar Jackson
Sure.
over Josh Allen.
Yeah, do that too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
It's like I think.
Bro, so I got fucking Christian
Browns
McCaffrey
defense
or
besides the-
Kenyon Drake. I think I'm going to play Christian McCaffrey. Fucking guy.
Fuck you, Cav.
I don't know. One thing I say here is the Patriots, what they're really good at is like they'll take away your best weapon. So Stephon Gilmore who's one of the best corners in the league. He's gonna probably be on John Brown. So I'll be fading John Brown in this matchup. I don't even know who the second receiver is. I mean, Cole Beasley. Maybe he's actually offered a safe floor PPR wise. I mean, besides that, if Devin Singletary's back, he'd probably be the guy who I'm throwing in there. I'd be fading Frank Gore. Just because with Singletary, they're now eating up in those snaps. I mean, do you feel comfortable really starting anyone?
I mean, it's probably just Josh Allen. That's probably about it.
What about John Brown?
No, not in this matchup. Not against Gilmore. He's got.
Yeah.
Can Smokey get loose because he's fast and and Josh Allen can scramble and make a play happen? Yeah,
Sure.
that could happen. I mean, it can, but
I think you're
playing
probably
you're playing the game of probability, and the probability is he's got a tough ass matchup.
Yeah.
What about Singletary? If he's out on the field, you throwing him in your lineup, flex guy?
No,
in RB2?
I'm too scared of that hamstring. He's barely practiced all week, and he just started. This injury didn't look good. So if he's playing, it's not even that. I'm just worried that he re-aggravates the hamstring.
Yeah. And so if he's out, you're sitting Frank the Tank even after, I think he had like 70, 80 yards and a touchdown, a couple catches.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a scenario where you have Le'Veon Bell and you have one of the 49ers running backs, and you need a running back. At least you know that if Singletary's out, Frank Gore is going to get, 15 carries, and then there's a chance he falls into the end zone.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the situation where I'm playing him, where it's like, okay, maybe I have like 2 running backs on a bye, or you lost someone to injury and you got another, like, your running back on a bye. So bye weeks hit now too. So some teams could have a scenario where they've been playing maybe a mixture of like Bell, Burrito, or something like that, or they had Coleman as like their 2, and they're out those 2 guys this week. But he's going to get those carries, and like I said, there's a chance he gets into the end zone.
Yeah. I mean, these numbers are skewed because they've played some bad teams, and they're also ahead, so you're not really running the ball. The opposing teams are throwing it a ton. But the Patriots haven't given up a rushing touchdown, only allowing 2.3 yards per carry, only 37 yards per game on the ground. That's crazy because you can get that like in one run. That's the game. So
they're giving up 7.4 points to the running back per game, and Frank Gore will probably have all the touches.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, he's going to probably get you something like that, 7.4 points, if you're short on running backs.
For sure. Definitely not starting. Well, what do you think about Bills defense or what? I say definitely not, but maybe I wrote him off too fast.
I mean, no.
Yeah, I mean, no.
All right, no.
I'm not allowed to talk the rest of this episode.
Why?
Because apparently I'm a big idiot poop head.
You're just Captain Obvious.
Yeah. All right, next
We're going to
matchup.
order you a hat. This is Captain Obvious.
Captain Obvious here.
All right, next matchup. We got the Chefs are -6.5. Traveling to Detroit, going to play the Lions. It's a 54-point over-under. I think this is the highest over-under of the week. I don't know. When I look at this matchup, I just think shootout. Like, I do think a lot of points. I want to try and get as many pieces in this game as I can.
I'd say Chiefs money line in the over is such a money bet ever, always.
Did the Chiefs and Patriots play in the regular season this year?
I think they do towards the end of the season.
It's towards the end, right?
I'm pretty sure.
They both would be undefeated until that week.
Yeah.
Probably.
All right, so on the Chef side of the ball, I mean, Mahomes, you're dialing them up. The receivers, Sammy Watkins, McCole Hardman, DeMarcus Robinson. I feel like you're just dialing all those guys up. You're tied to Mahomes.
Yeah.
Those guys keep scoring, even if it's only one play. Like, that's all you need.
He's legendary, dude.
Yeah. Kelsey's fucking by the beard of Zeus. It's the running backs where it gets tricky. So Damian Williams is gonna miss again. He's out. LaShawn McCoy, he's the ankle's okay. He's been practicing. He's fine. Do you think that they'll continue to split the workload though? Because it's been like a committee. Even who was there? It's last week it was McCoy. He did leave a little bit because of the ankle, but Darrell Williams was getting a ton of run. He was actually out snapped McCoy.
Yeah, they were. I know some of that had to do with they were ahead in the game, and they kind of just once they were ahead, they kind of like rested McCoy a little bit.
Yeah,
that's why the snap percentage was there. I think McCoy's the leader of the committee, but I mean it's the Chiefs' offense, so it's like I can't hate you if you want to go ahead and just tie yourself to the what's his name, Williams, or in this matchup, because it is the Chiefs' offense, and I mean they can get ahead in this game as well, and he can they can rest McCoy a little more, and you see similar to what you saw last week. So it's this team's so this team's so good that it's hard to not see him basically blow everyone out, and maybe instead of Mahomes throwing for 5 touchdowns, 2 of them go to the running backs. That's a possibility, or maybe 3. Maybe he only throws 2 this week.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. I'm trying to get this out, but it's like this offense is elite. So you can tie yourself to pretty much every player if you wanted to.
Yeah. Do you think they continue to do like a committee, like a 50-50, even like a 60-40, or do you think it's like, okay, McCoy and then, Darrell Thompson barely gets any run?
No, I think it's still a type of committee. Yeah. He's still not at 100%. I mean, he was limping going into the game last week. Like he was on the field limping. Like he barely played. He's been limited in practice, so I don't think they're going to push him to a full workload. I don't even know if the team sees him as like a workhorse type of back.
Yeah. I mean, the way I'm looking at it is like if you were comfortable starting Damian Williams and McCoy, what's the difference between starting McCoy and then Darrell Williams? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, don't have a Damian and a Darrell Williams in your like on the same team. I know that was like a whole thing last year. Everybody rushed to go pick up Damian Williams, and I did it.
Some people
I grabbed Darrell Williams, D. Williams. I don't know, Kansas City running back. How did I think that? What the fuck?
Did you see how that like last year some guy traded. He traded Darrell Williams for like I don't even know like Barkley or some stupid like that.
Yeah.
And like the guy thought he was getting Damian Williams, so he was like hell yeah. But like the guy traded him Darrell Williams.
He's like, oh, dude, why is this guy not getting any points?
I'm about to do
because
that
you
right
got
now.
Darrell Williams. That's kind of something like that with the D Williams. It was like the first week the Browns played. There's a D Johnson as a running back. And I was like, dude, David Johnson's still getting carries. And then I was like, or Duke Johnson, I mean.
Yeah.
Because it's D Johnson, and it was like the box
now
score was
there's
like
Deontay Johnson, the wide receiver for the Steelers that played this recently. He played in the last game, yeah.
Did they have
he was like the depth because they made Dante Moncrief inactive.
Yeah.
So they had Deontay Johnson in. So that's another D Johnson.
There's a lot of D Johnsons.
I'll D your Johnson. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so Lions side of the ball, Stafford. I low-key like Stafford this one. I feel like in a matchup where 54-point over-under, the Chiefs obviously are going to get theirs. I feel like he's going to have to, keep pace, toe-to-toe with Mahomes here. He'd probably be a top 10 play for me.
Yeah, he'd be someone I'd start over Baker, like you said. That was a quarterback we discussed earlier. I'd possibly go with I can't think of his name. Matthew Stafford over Tom Brady.
Yeah, I do Stafford over Brady in Josh Allen in the last matchup we did. He'd be a top 10 play for me this week. I think he's gonna have to toe to toe. He's gonna have to come back with it, and he has the weapons. I mean, you got Galladay, you got Marvin Jones.
So he's starting those two this week, basically.
Yeah, I would be starting both those guys in like I said, a shootout, and maybe even I know T.J. Hawkinson's burned you the last 2 weeks. 1 catch each of the last games after having that monster week 1. But if there's ever a game for him to come out and kind of rebound, it'd be at home in the dome, in a shootout.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
T.J. Hawkinson, sleeper play of the week.
That's what it's funny. Like there's people who probably spent so much fat money on T.J. Hawkinson the first week, and then they started him the next week, and they're like, "Damn it!" They started him again. Damn it!
Watch them bench him this week, and then this week
this week will go.
I was listening to something. They were saying that like he dropped like 2 touchdown passes last week, though.
Yeah, he had 1 call back on a penalty, and then he just straight up. No, he dropped 2.
Yeah,
And
he dropped 2 touchdowns.
Okay, yeah, he dropped 2, but then he had one called back too.
Yeah,
Of a penalty.
so he could have had like a monster game.
Yeah.
Like I said, in a game where what other? If you already been throwing him out there, you might be tough sledding. You might not have any other options. I would feel more comfortable throwing him in this week. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
What about Kerryon Johnson? I know here's a guy that we all kind of liked. We just kind of wanted to see if he would get the workload going forward. I think he had like 20 career high, right? 21 touches this last week.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Something like that. So
The only thing I don't like about Kerryon Johnson right now, just looking at it, is that the game script is going to be they're going to be chasing. So I feel like they're just going to be really throwing the ball.
yeah, but he can catch
But
the
he
ball.
can catch the ball, so it's like he's kind of like game script proof because they're still going to have the runs even when they're chasing. You know, it's not gonna, it could be 21-0 in the first quarter, but yeah, he is kind of game proof. I know the Chiefs have been giving up a lot of points to the running back position too. On top of that, you know what I'm looking at right now. You know, 20 points a game basically the running back position. You know, it will be a shootout. They're gonna have to score. So, you know, and he's a big play type of player too. He hasn't been running the ball with the best efficiency this year, but you know, he's gonna get the volume, and it's gonna be a shootout type of game. And he can pass catch. He's not getting taken off the field necessarily to bring like a third down back in.
Yeah, I'm not sure how skewed this stat is, but I remember seeing it was like they give up the highest yards per carry. It's at 6.2, which that's like an absurd. But yeah, so I think Kerryon Johnson's a good play this week.
Yeah, rock solid RB too.
Yeah. You said for the receivers though, Kenny Galladay, Marvin Jones, you'd agree starting both these guys?
Yeah, fire him up.
Sure. All right, next matchup we got the Panthers.
Wait, Lions D?
Well, definitely not. Panthers. Panthers at the Texans. Texans minus 4.5, 47.5 point over under. Panthers side of the ball, Christian McCaffrey starting them up. What about these receivers and tight ends? So you got Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore, and then Greg Olsen, who's
Been a savage.
the fountain of youth. He's just been a savage. I mean, I think Olsen, after what he's been doing, there's no way you could sit him.
No.
No, not 3 weeks in a row. Excuse me. I just threw it in my mouth. Tried to swallow it.
That's disgusting.
It's kind of hot.
It's kind of hot.
Yeah, it was kind
Kind
of
of turned on right now. But anyway,
Me neither.
You either. Yeah, Greg Olsen 997. Those are his targets. The receivers. I don't know if Curtis Samuel out targeted him or DJ Moore last week. If it wasn't for DJ Moore breaking that big touchdown, you know, he would have kind of had a dud game. I think it might have just been that week. Who were they playing last week?
No, they played the Cardinals, so it was a good matchup.
Yeah, it was a good matchup. I don't know. Maybe Kyle Allen favors maybe Samuel a little more. I don't know if that's the case yet. We only have 1 week of data to go off of. But, you know, 10, 14 targets the first 2 weeks. I think you start both these guys as, you know, wide receiver 3 type of plays.
For sure, yeah. I saw a stat that said DJ Moore is going to face the 95th ranked cornerback out of 100 per Pro Football Focus. So that's good if you got DJ Moore. And then Curtis Samuel, yeah, I think so. I think these guys are like wide receiver 3s, flex guys. You know, if you're pretty much stacked across the board and you need like a second wide receiver, I would feel pretty comfortable throwing him there, just because I feel like you're going to get at least something from him. You know, you're not gonna get a goose egg. Texans side of the ball. I mean, you guys want to touch on Kyle Allen and the Cam Newton situation?
I forget what is Cam's status. He's out. What
He has
a Lins Frank injury. But
yeah.
What's the timetable?
They're trying not to. I've been listening to a lot of stuff, and I kind of agree. Is like I think that they're trying to slowly move off of Cam Newton.
I mean, Kyle Allen looked good in his first week. 4 touchdowns.
I think they're gonna let him try and heal for as long as he needs.
Yeah, I mean, if he comes out and slings the rock again, I mean, he's someone who's like, if you're thin at quarterback, maybe grab him and throw him at the end of your bench, like on Saturday. And if he has another good game, I mean, he might be a decent streaming option, you know, week to week. I mean, it's fantasy football, but Cam was always a good fantasy quarterback because he ran the ball much. He wasn't the best passer. You know, he would pass for maybe like, I don't even know if he went over 4,000. I'm sure he had one season over 4,000, but
it's his legs.
It's his legs, yeah. So I think Kyle Allen, what he does and what he could potentially bring is more yards for the receivers, Christian McCaffrey, the tight end, and I think he could even boost the fantasy value of the receivers and tight end because he's not there scrambling. You know, he's dropping back and throwing the ball. So I kind of like his status just for the pass catchers.
Yeah, I saw this one stat. It was saying how the there's been 7 passing touchdowns or 8 passing touchdowns in the last 4 or 5 games for the Carolina Panthers starting quarterback, and all like 7 or 8 of them are Kyle Allen. Like Cam Newton has 0. And you're just thinking like, what? Like, how does that even make sense?
He didn't throw a touchdown the first 2 weeks.
That's what the stat was saying. Yeah.
Yeah, because he played week it's 7 because he played week 17 against the Saints. And he had three touchdowns. Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe he is the future going. I mean, Cam obviously can't stay healthy. He's always beat up. So.
I think they're ready to move off of him.
Yeah.
I was listening to this thing and he was talking about. I can't remember who it was. It was like Colin Coward or something. But he was talking about it's like after you've been in the league for a certain amount of years, you're not gonna just like come back and be better. You're not gonna come back off the off season and all of a sudden like for a basketball player and like be like amazing at shooting threes.
Yeah.
You're like if you're 8-9 years into your career, you are who you are. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I don't think he's gonna get better, and I think like Carolina realizes that
for sure.
I mean, he's had a lot of injuries. It's
yeah,
like, it's not like he's been and he's not that young anymore. He's in his 30s.
Yeah,
and it's like the pocket passer quarterbacks. I feel like can get by the guys who aren't used to like just having to scramble to make things happen or make plays happen. They can get by a little longer, but those scrambling guys, they usually break down and start to, it's like their 30s. Like Vic, like it's like they usually go in like their early 30s.
right.
Yeah. All right, so jump on the other side of the ball. Well, actually, like the Panthers' defense, you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm in a pickle where I got to choose a defense, and I know that Deshaun Watson gets sacked more than anybody in the league, so I don't think it's a bad play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they had 8 sacks last week against the Cardinals. The Panthers defense. So
yeah, they had a good D line going into last year, and then the rookie they drafted was a defensive end. He's been playing well as well.
Oh yeah, the guy from Florida State, and then they picked up Gerald McCoy from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's crazy how like a couple players can totally change the whole dynamic of a defense.
Definitely.
Yeah. But all right, on the other side of the ball, Deshaun Watson. I mean, I feel like you're donning him up. You're donning up DeAndre Hopkins. It's kind of like what about like Will Fuller? What about like a Kenny Stills? Taking a shot. I got Fuller in 2 leagues. I say it every single week. Him and Deshaun have that chemistry where he maybe it was just like hyper efficient of them scoring touchdowns together. But I feel like the longer that he goes without a touchdown only makes the very next game more likely that he'll have a touchdown.
Yeah.
Is that wrong logic for me to think like that?
I mean,
the only logic I have against that is Kenny Stills.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue of why he's not getting the targets like he is. But I mean, to your point, I think this is a good week for that play to type of happen. Bradbury's going to be on Hopkins where it's, Hopkins is Hopkins, but, instead of Hopkins maybe seeing 10, 11 targets, does he lose 4 and those 4 go to Fuller? And, like I said, he breaks one of those long touchdown passes. So I just think that the problem with, in general, maybe going forward after this matchup with Fuller is just Stills is like kind of playing that same type of role and eating into his targets.
Yeah. He's still playing 90% plus of the snaps, though, Fuller. So he's out there a lot. But I think a couple targets here to Kenny Stills is definitely eating into that. I like Fuller this week, though. Like I said, I'm going to keep saying it each fucking week until he finally comes out for a touchdown. But it's going to be this week.
No, I like it this week.
The running back situation where it gets kind of tricky here. You got Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson. I mean, they're pretty much just back and forth. Like 1 week it was 60-40 Duke. The next week it was 60-40 Hyde. And then this week I think it was like 45-55 Hyde or something like that. Hyde getting 10-plus carries in all 3 games. He actually ran pretty good the first 2 games. This last game, the third week was bad for him. But it's Duke Johnson who's just kind of been like non-existent. I mean, is he even like droppable? Are you still rostering him?
I mean, if you got buys, you could drop him.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's really good. He's not even being used as like a passing down scat back at all, like he was in Cleveland at least, where it's like, okay, like shootout type of game possibly, like home was gonna get 5-6 catches. Like he's like 3 targets last week. It's just and 0 the week before. So yeah, you could drop him if you want.
What about Carlos Hyde? He's got the 21st most rush attempts in the NFL so far. So you like to see that from a volume standpoint. But like I said, it is a running back by committee. One thing I can say is the Panthers are giving up 4.6 yards per carry. So, I mean, he's seeing 10-plus carries each week. He's seeing those goal line carries.
The Panthers defense is 27th also against the running backs, like hardest.
Yeah,
like it's not a good matchup basically. Yeah. So it's kind of.
This is like looking like an under game here or what? 47.5. That seems like a lot of points. I kind of
like the Panthers. Upset alert.
What the Panthers?
Dun, 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 dun.
Wait, what's his name? Kyle Allen?
Yeah. Kyle Allen. Oh, fuck. Missed it. Right over.
Right over your head.
Texans defense. You like this one? I like the Texans defense. I mean, I know Kyle Allen's his 2 starts have been good, but I think you go on the road, playing in a hostile environment like Texas or Houston. I mean, I think it'll be you still got J.J. Watt on that side, coming after you. I'm not mad at Texas defense.
I'd probably start the other side of the ball defense if I had to stream one of those two.
What, you want beer bet?
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right, beer bet. I'll take the Texans. You'll take the Panthers.
Mike will take.
Money line?
No, we're taking a beer bet. I'll take the Texans defense to score more points than the Panthers defense.
Pretty interesting.
You gotta jot it down.
Yeah, let me write that down.
All right. First beer bet of the night.
Beer bet. All right, cool. Next matchup, we got the Oakland Raiders going to Indianapolis, play the Colts, 6.5 point favorites, 45-point over-under. I feel like every single week I say for the Raiders, it's Tyrell Williams, Darren Waller, and Josh Jacobs, and that's it. That's it. I feel like with those guys are the defense or the offense just runs through those 3 guys. That's all you're even contemplating starting.
That Pups agreed with you.
Yeah.
He was like,
he really agreed.
He's like, fuck it. Derek Carr. Carr. Dead on with that. Raider, did you say Raiders defense or am I?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Yeah.
Just some stats on Josh Jacobs. I know he didn't have a good game last week, but he was battling a sickness where he was down with the sickness.
He was disturbed.
Down with the sickness.
He lost 10 pounds though, and I was listening to something. They're saying how they just had him like every time he comes to the sideline, they're just like hooking him to IV bags to keep him like hydrated.
Jesus, dude.
Can I get that treatment?
Get down with the sickness.
Yeah, you just gotta get down with the sickness first.
All right.
But the Colts, they allow the 4th highest yards per carry. And the big boost for Josh Jacobs in this game is that the Colts are going to be without Darius Leonard. He's their all-pro middle linebacker. This is going to be the 2nd game that he's out for. So that's just even better for Josh Jacobs right here. Don't sleep on him.
What? Every time you say Josh Jacobs, throw that one in.
Josh Jacobs.
I just kind of just note on Josh Jacobs. Is I would like to see him get
Jacobs, Josh.
Counts.
Counts. Ruling is I would like to see him start getting more involved in the passing game. He through the first 3 weeks, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's because he was sick, but 3 targets total in 3 weeks. That's kind of when you drafted him, everyone thought he was going to be a 3-down back, but right now it's looking like he's more of a 1-2 down type of back. When I'd like to see him get more involved in that aspect.
For sure. I mean, in Alabama, he was, really good at catching the ball.
Yeah.
I think he was averaging like 12.5 yards per reception out of the backfield. Josh Jacobs.
Oh, okay.
Got me there.
I saw the setup.
I honestly just wanted to, because we were rambling. I feel like sometimes when we talk, we're just like, yeah, this guy, like he, and then maybe
if you
it's
like
just
zone
me.
out for a second, you're like, wait, who?
Yeah.
No, I get you. I've done
Same for the listener.
You're right.
For sure, yeah. So Josh Jacobs, Tyrell Williams, Darren Waller. I mean, Darren Waller is going to end up finishing as a top 5 tight end with the amount of volume he's getting.
Targets
he's getting,
He's seeing like a 30% target share.
Yeah, John Gruden said he's special.
All
I don't know if it was a
Colts,
derogatory thing or if he was saying that he's really got that face, dude. Oh my god.
All right, so the Colts side of the ball, you got the brisket, Jacoby Brissett. I mean, what's your thoughts on Jacoby Brissett here? You streaming him this week, maybe?
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't think he's been pretty efficient. What, 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, and then 3? I think those are his totals, if I'm right.
Yeah.
The only thing is T.Y. Hilton's out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, that's my pause. So, I don't know, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
You probably got better options.
Yeah,
I guess if you're in a 2-quarterback league, he's an option.
Yeah, I think this is a game where the Colts, they come out and they try and use that offensive line and kind of ground and pound it. And when they get closer to the red zone, Brissett does this kind of his thing.
Yeah. So Marlon Mack, you're dialing him up. I think he leads the NFL in rushing attempts. You like seeing that, like I said.
By the way, I sent a trade to Brett in our league for Michael Thomas. I sent him Marlon Mack, and I sent him like a pretty middle tier receiver for Michael Thomas, and he was like, "Get out of here with that whack ass trade." I'm like, this guy's get the most. This running back has like the most carries in the league right now.
Yeah, and missing didn't he miss a little bit of time in the last one of the games?
But that's what I'm saying is like,
I'm not sure.
Like he would I think he would got taken out precautionary.
But that's what I mean. I'm like, it's not that crazy of a trade.
No,
it's funny.
He's seen 18,
you know what I mean?
18 or more touches.
But he's a Saints fan,
every
so
game.
I should have realized.
It's funny you said that though, because I was gonna say I feel like Marlon Mack's like someone who's like you could purchase as like a solid RB the rest of the way because that line is like a top 3 line, and he's gonna get all the carries, and he's actually been getting some passing game work this year too.
Yeah.
Because his name just doesn't have that sexy ring to it in a sense, to where it's like you said, he's like, oh, get out of here with that Marlon Mack shit. Where it's like, I think you can acquire Marlon Mack for the value you get for him. You don't have to pay what you would pay for the running back maybe right ahead of him or something like that. But he's going to be a solid running back week after week after week. So, I think he's someone I might actually tomorrow try and make some trade offers for him before the week's out.
Yeah, for sure, I agree. Like you said, T.Y. Hilton, he's battling a quad injury, so he's doubtful. That obviously would affect Brissett and the pass catchers here. I think, T.Y. Hilton, if he's out, you might be thinking which one of these other receivers can I throw in here to play, and I would personally say none.
Same.
I think what it would do is actually boost Ebron. I haven't been big on Ebron at all throughout the year, but if there's no T.Y. Hilton, I mean, here's a guy who's a red zone threat. He can actually, receiving tight end basically. I think he'd be the person who probably sees an uptick in targets. I actually like Ebron this week. Say if you got a Vance McDonald, you don't know if he's going to play or not. It's probably trending that he's not. I don't mind grabbing an Ebron and throwing him in there. The touchdown upside is what was intriguing.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
No Paris Campbell.
No, I think it's going to get spread out between, like Tyler said, all the guys, and he might have to actually throw a lot of times in this game. They may be able to do the Seattle Seahawks game plan, where it's Russell Wilson, 20, 22 pass attempts, run the ball, ground and pound it, get out, play good defense, because they have a good defense too. So even with what's his name hurt, they still have some pieces there. So I think that's more than likely their game plan for this week.
For sure. Jumping to the next matchup here. You got the Chargers. Oh, I almost said the San Diego Chargers. I always want to say, dude.
I mean, it's basically that, dude.
All right. So you got the Superchargers. They're traveling to Miami. The Chargers are minus 15. It's a 44.5 point over under. Just looking at this, first thing I say, and I know this is going to sound biased as fuck, but I love the Dolphins plus 15. Hear me out.
But it's not that biased.
Hear me out, bro. Hear me out.
Okay, let's hear you
Let me
out.
try to convince you, all right? All right, so you got a West Coast team traveling East Coast. You're losing that time, right?
Sure.
And then it's still hot in Miami, bro.
Time travel.
It's humid.
That's how it works.
It's hot down there. You're not used to playing in the humidity like that. And then you got no Mike Williams. Miami's getting Rashad Jones back. He's been out a couple games. They're also getting Albert Wilson back as another playmaker here there. I like Miami in this game to keep it within 2 touchdowns.
But guess who's showing up in Los Angeles?
Who?
Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon is fucking coming back though, possibly. So
I was watching you try get something set up over there. I'm like, what is he setting up?
You're
right
like, it's coming, bro. It's coming.
What was
That
his
was a little
name?
cheesy. Melvin Gordon. Dude,
Sorry,
I'm not dropping it again.
was
That
adorable.
took too long. But do you think that?
Do you want to let him finish his story he was telling you
Yeah.
before you cut him off?
Oh, no. I'm just saying Miami plus 15. Send it. No flub.
No flub, bro.
I kind of like it too. Just knowing the history of the Chargers, they for some reason don't. I know this is a shitty Miami team, but they don't play us
Good.
It's
In
like
Miami.
Yeah, we're like one of
good.
those teams where they for some reason even when they've been good years past, we play them tight, tight matchups. Toy. I like the plus 15 too. Fuck with the toy. Rivers. I mean, you can start everyone against Miami, so start Rivers. I mean, the only worry would be that they run for 5 touchdowns and he only doesn't throw one or
Seriously.
2.
I don't know. Keenan Allen could have 3 touchdowns.
Wait,
Yeah,
how
he
tight would you take Dolphins money line?
I am going to take Dolphins money line. Say I
I'll put
won't.
$100 on it.
I mean, I took them in my fucking what's it called?
Your Survivor League.
Survivor League, so I might as well.
Oh, you took the Chargers?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you're fucked.
I think is everyone in that league just gonna take
Bro,
play the Dolphins?
bro, Survivor Leagues right now, because I'm in 2 of them, and it's every week. It's just whoever's playing the Dolphins. Like people have like two, like I'm in one where you can have 2 teams,
Yeah.
and like strategically you would pick different teams, right? No, everybody's just like Cowboys, Chargers.
What about the one like what if Miami upsets this week and like just one other person was like, oh, I'll take just a different game where they're like, I'll take that game, and like it's like, oh, everyone's out.
It's kind of a strategy, I feel like, for survivors. Like, if everyone's going on one team, you could be like, oh, dude, let me make this sneaky pick over here. And then if that team wins, like, boom, like a chunk of the teams are gone.
Yeah, I mean, well,
What happens if everyone loses? Do you start over?
Yeah, so that's what happened last year. It was the first time I ever did Survivor, and the first week, the Buccaneers beat the Saints. Remember that?
Yeah.
And so I took the fucking Saint, or I took the Saints. Everybody took the Saints, and then I think there was like one other game, and there was like 2 or 3 people who picked that, and there was upsets. There was like 17 people on this thing,
Yeah.
and we all fucking missed on the first week. So they were like, I guess
Yeah, week 1's the
started
best week
over.
to bet.
Like, but then like he still wouldn't let us pick those teams.
Yeah, I get you.
again. But
For
yeah.
sure. All right, so back to the Chargers side. I guess we should touch on the biggest news, though. Melvin Gordon ends the holdout. He's back. They were saying, like, he wasn't going to play this week, but then now there's reports coming out saying because Justin Jackson's out for the game, they're saying that he might play now. With that being said, are you drinking the Kool-Aid? With a might play, are you throwing him into your lineup, or are you waiting a week
No.
to see how this works out?
I don't think I'm playing him. What I think it is they just need the running back depth.
Yeah.
To have a guy out there. They'll probably give him some snaps to like get him going, get him like accustomed to, I mean, even you saw Zeke, who was still like doing stuff, like still practicing Cabo, did like some days of camp. He might have done like 60-70% of the snaps, and that was like, he didn't have an Austin Eckler in front of him too. But yeah, I think it's more of like, hey, we don't have Justin Jackson. If Eckler were to get hurt, like they might need to thrust Melvin Gordon into a role. So I think it's more he's active for that reason. And, get him some reps. Like I said, maybe he gets a handful of carries and is on the field for a little bit of snaps to get used to game speed. But, no, I'm not thrusting him in my lineup.
Yeah, I need a week just to see what's going forward, and just see how it works. But, I mean, speaking with Eckler, you're dialing him up. Could have a monster game right here. What's your thoughts on Eckler going forward now that Melvin Gordon is back? Do you think he's still got some flex appeal? Or is he got like you're just like
he's a flex appeal? I feel like in matchups where you see a shootout type of scenario where he's going to get those his third down role. I mean he was useful last year.
Yeah.
And he's been playing well, so it wouldn't surprise me too if they scale back Melvin's Gordon workload from last year and some of that goes to Austin Eckler. And Melvin Gordon personally might not care if his workload gets scaled back a little bit too, because he wants to stay healthy.
For
And
sure.
I don't think he's done one healthy season yet. I don't think he's played a full 16.
I'm trying to trade while there's still some bit of value with Austin Eckler, and I think you're right. There still will be, but I'm trying to trade like Austin Eckler for like you said, like Marlon Mack. If I could finesse that, that'd be sick.
if you could pull that off, I would.
Yeah.
I think he still gets at least like 10 touches a game, 10 to 12 touches. I mean, the Pro Football Focus grades were he graded out as like a better runner and a better pass catcher than Melvin Gordon. And, I mean, with how good he's been playing, he's a playmaker on the field. I mean, Mike Williams is banged up. No Hunter Henry. You need playmakers out there on the field outside of Keenan Allen. So I think he gets and stays involved.
Did someone say Derek Carr?
Derek Carr.
You're starting Keenan Allen. He's probably gonna have 300 yards this game.
Chargers defense, go Chargers, go. Yeah. You got Joey Bosa coming off the edge right there.
It's hot.
It's hot, like Hansel. Miami. All right, we're moving on to the next matchup.
So you think there's like no one in Miami that's worth it? I saw someone drop Drake in one of our leagues.
Drake.
And I picked him up for maybe they trade him.
Maybe as being a
And then
homer.
that,
New York.
Yeah, maybe they trade him. He goes somewhere. But the thing with Drake is he's back-to-back games with 6 targets. I know it's Miami and it sounds gross, but he's getting involved in the passing game. I mean, he's like Don't drop him though, right? I don't understand how you can drop him. He's still a starting running back on a team, even as bad as they are.
I wouldn't drop him. I mean, I drop.
If I have to drop him, I'm not. He's not a guy where I'm like, oh, I gotta hold him. Like if I need to drop someone because of bye weeks or if injuries or whatever, like I'll drop him. But I mean, to like extent what you said, like I mean, he could still be traded. There's I think three more weeks from the trade, something like that. He could be traded to a team where his value gets boosted. But I mean, in a PPR format, he could be a desperation play because you said he is a starting running back. Kalen Balaj just has zero vision.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not really starting him unless it's like I'm desperate, to be honest.
Yeah. Honestly, a sneaky guy, though, for me, I was actually kind of pissed. I was going to pick him up and play him. I'm in a jam in one of my leagues. I need a receiver. But Preston Williams.
Did I pick him up?
You picked him up, yeah. But he leads Miami in targets. He's got 23. And the crazy side I saw with him is he's ranked number 3rd behind Keenan Allen and Mike Evans in red zone targets. He's got 10 red zone targets already on the year through 3 games. 10 plus PPR points in all games, 10.8, 10.3, 11.4. So the ceiling's not crazy high, but the floor is there at a 10-point mark, you know?
Yeah.
And in games where we're always behind, Casey Hayward's supposed to shadow Devontae Parker. I mean, is Preston Williams kind of what we all hoped Devontae Parker would be? Is this kind of like what he's turning into?
Maybe. I mean, that's why I picked him up. I'm like, is he going to be a guy who gets, by then, by the time the year ends, does he get 130, 40 targets just because Miami's so bad?
Yeah.
And they're down instantly and they have to throw the ball consistently. I mean, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a rookie, so, he's going to, like, have his struggles, here and there.
He had a couple drops last game.
He's made some boneheaded plays for sure, but, I mean, he's a guy who goes up and gets the ball. He's a red zone guy. I think he's 6'5", right, or 6'4".
Yeah, he's a big guy.
He's big. Oh, he's
Big
boy.
boy.
Big boy. But I mean, it's a team that's gonna have to throw all year long.
For sure.
So I mean, he could have, especially in PPR leagues where you get a lot of targets, and he's a big downfield guy too. So it's not like he sees 10 targets. A couple of those are gonna be deep balls.
Yeah.
I mean, Rosen doesn't seem like he's not afraid to throw deep either. So I don't hate it.
I mean, one thing I say about Miami, like I said, I'm gonna sound biased because I'm a Dolphins fan, but we've played 3 playoff teams. You got the Ravens, the Cowboys, and the Patriots, and arguably they could have played the representative for the NFC and the representative for the AFC and the Cowboys and the Patriots in the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
So I feel like in other games they're going to be more competitive. You're going to see certain players have some good games. That's why I'm saying like Drake. I think there's better days ahead for him, and maybe even Preston Williams, and maybe Devontae Parker will have some bigger games going forward. But yeah, just something to keep an eye on. Next matchup, you get the Redskins. Going to the Giants. The Giants are -3. Danny Dimes over there, 49.5 over under. I think this is over.
Dimes.
You think this is like a shootout game? That's kind of what I'm thinking, like off the top of my head.
I think it'll be close.
And I think it's a shootout type of game. 2 bad defenses. I mean, Danny Dimes has looked good since the preseason. He's slinging that. I almost said he's slinging that dick around. He's slinging that rock around. He might be.
No, that's you, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck, what? Did I just say
that? But he's slinging that, and then he's slinging it around, and then Keenum too. I mean, the Redskins aren't that good either. But I mean, you look at Case Keenum's a top 8 quarterback. He's throwing for 300 yards. He's throwing for touchdowns. The Giants are, I think, both of them are in the bottom 3, and I'll look right now in total. Like against the quarterback. I mean, yeah, you got the Giants and Washington, both top 6 matchups for the quarterbacks, both top 3 matchups for the running back position. So, yeah, I kind of like it as a shootout.
Yeah, Case Keenum, 4th in the NFL in passing yards, 933 passing yards. So throwing the ball a ton. I mean, their defense has been so bad, so they've been like chasing.
What's the status on Terry McLaurin?
Today, the latest I saw today was he's a game time decision, but he should play.
Yeah, he's airing towards playing.
I hope he plays because I need to start him. So, I guess it was just like a light little hamstring thing where it's like from what I read today, because I did a lot of reading, is it was just kind of more of a precautionary thing because it's later in the week. They don't want to push him, and it's like they want to have him ready for Sunday. So, but I mean, if he plays, I mean, you could fire him up. He's been the target leader. He's the red zone
Especially a great
target leader.
matchup. Great
Yeah,
matchup.
great
Now,
matchup.
if he doesn't play, do you think would you play Paul Richardson or would you play Trey Quinn maybe even?
I think you could. I mean, Paul Richardson's been getting some targets on his end too.
Yeah. I mean, this is obviously, I don't think it's going to happen, but
I think with those two, is Trey Quinn will be probably the safer PPR type of guy.
yeah.
But Paul Richardson's more of that the boom type of game.
Right.
That'd be my personal take on it. I'm not Tyler.
Yeah, no, I probably agree with that. I actually might have to start Paul Richardson in the league because I have AJ Green still out, Gallup's hurt, and then Michael Williams is out, and I have no receivers. So I'm just like, okay. If
I'll trade
McLaren's,
I'll trade you Preston
You
Williams.
said
that's what I was trying to pick up, but you took him.
you
I was
said
thinking like, hey, if I can get 10 points from my second receiver, I'll just throw that in there and save floor. I'll guarantee 10 points. But
Senor Paul,
I'm actually battling between Paul Richardson and Cole Beasley. Like, I don't know who to take. It's kind of a similar situation. Do I take the safe floor with a Beasley, or do I try to kind of go for the upside
home run,
with Paul Richardson? Obviously, if McLaurin's out, or McLaurin, if he's out, then that's going to boost Paul Richardson's value. In a game that you said could be a shootout.
I mean, you could still probably even start him with McLaurin there.
Yeah. With the running back situation, AP, and then you got Chris Thompson. Chris Thompson leads all running backs, I think, in targets to the running back position. He's a guy, we've touched on him each week. Is he needs to be owned. He's a valuable, probably like a low end RB2 you could throw in there, especially PPR wise. You could probably throw him in there every single week just for the amount of work he's getting in the passing game. But what about AP, though? Because it's almost like he gets game scripted out, and if he doesn't fall in the end zone, he's getting you 15 for 40 and nothing.
Yeah. I don't know if it's because I feel like they're the same age, but he's like that Frank Gore for me. Gore doesn't really get game scripted out, but for this matchup, because Gore has a tough matchup.
Yeah.
And the Bills are a lot better offense, so in better matchups, Gore's gonna be good. But yeah, they're probably, as far as this week goes and where I'm starting them, if I need a running back who's gonna get some carries, I'd probably honestly start Drake over AP.
I think I would too, because at least I know Drake won't get game scripted out.
Yeah. I mean, though, there is a game that could be close. The Redskins could actually get out ahead. I mean, that's a possibility too. I mean, these two teams, they're both not great teams.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's one of those, I've said it a couple times, desperation type of running backs where I know I'm going to get something, and he is the goal line back at the end of the day, so he will be the one who runs it in if someone runs it in, unless Thompson does it from 30 yards out.
Yeah. I mean, he's still a guy, like I said, you want him on your bench, even if you're not playing him. It's just always good to have that depth at the position. With us thinking it's a shootout, we're probably not playing either one of these defenses, right?
No? Oh, Mike said you're playing?
No, I picked up, that's for after Miami goes on bye, they play the Redskins next. So I picked up the Redskins and
wipe that silly little smirk off your face.
Oh, you meant because I picked up the Redskins in our league, huh? But is that what's going on?
The Redskins are getting negative points that week.
Probably.
The Giants side of the ball.
I got -1 points from Green Bay, by the way.
Oh.
That was sick.
Did you guys
2 leagues.
lose in the playoff?
Yeah, isn't that how you not made the playoffs last year? Because your defense got negative 1 point.
I'm the streaming defense guy, but
and what defense is that? The Red.
It was the Redskins. Are you happy now? Do you feel good?
Better?
Do you feel better?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. Do you feel better right this moment though?
Yeah, but only in my pants.
Ooh.
All right, Danny Dimes.
Slinging that.
Slanging that.
Slinging that Danny. Slinging his little Danny.
So you got Danny Dimes here. I mean, I think after the game he put up, if you went out and got him, you're probably throwing him in your lineup.
Yeah. I mean, he's,
double quarterback league.
He can run the ball. He can run the ball. He's using his legs too to get rushing work. So nowadays, those quarterbacks who run the ball, I mean, they just offer a lot. It helps their floors,
Yeah.
Even if they don't have the best game, because it's 250 and 2, I'd say, is an average quarterback game, But if they run for another 40 yards, they basically went for 250 and 3.
Yeah.
And it just kind of helps the quarterbacks with.
Oh my God, 2 + 40 = 3. Get it?
No,
me neither.
One thing I say about Danny Dimes is I feel like with Barkley being out for multiple weeks, I'm not sold on Wayne Gallman. I don't think any of us are sold on Wayne Gallman.
Yeah.
And I think, having Golden Tate come back in the next week or two or whatever it is, that's just really going to boost it. And this is going to be turned into a really pass happy team. You know, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, Golden Tate. So I do like Danny Dimes going forward.
Yeah, and you can start Shepard and Ingram. I mean, it's pretty, with those guys, especially in this matchup. You can start both those guys.
Yeah.
And then I guess the one we got to talk about is Gallman. I mean, I feel like this is you went and spent money, or you fucking used your probably your number one waiver priority on him.
Yeah.
At least this week, he figures to be, unless they bring someone in, next week, he figures to get most of the work. I feel like you're going to start him in this matchup, just given volume and not kind of a little bit of the unknown. I know when he played a couple years ago, the Giants line wasn't as good as it is, this year. So, he's going to see the passing where targets. He'll probably be the goal line back. So I think RB2 probably flex.
Yeah.
Like, we got to see what he is, but yeah, I think you start him.
For sure. Yeah, I agree with that. One thing I say about Golden Tate, though, is if he's available, I know he was available in a ton of leagues, actually. We're doing the waiver wire episode. If he's out there, go grab him, throw him on your bench. And he's actually a guy who, if you could trade him for something on the low, I would be trying to trade him right now because I think when he comes back with him and Danny Dimes, especially in PPR, I think he's going to have like a super safe floor each and every week.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so that was the first half of the matchups. That was all the morning games. That took probably way longer than
That was about an hour.
expected.
That's all right.
Hour and 10.
Hour 17. But we did a sweet ass ad read. You know what I mean? So that takes time.
Dude,
Are we all done, boys?
yeah, we're going to come back for these
wrap it up.
second half of the matchups.
All right, you guys want a beer bet who gets signed in New York?
Josh Jacobs.
Wait, what?
Down with the
I'm not ready for that. I'm gonna set it up better next time. Not next time.
That's what you said.
Three times.
Episode 7.
Episode
I'm
6.
I add something every time, so that counts for something.
Can't you just get like a little machine that like you hit the buttons and it does it?
I mean, yeah, kind of. I mean, right now I'm literally playing files.
Dude, you're rich, so just you're multi-thousandaire.
Am I rich? Or am I fucking rich?
You're the richest guy now.
Or am I Rich Eisen? Oh my god, okay. This has been what we like to call the average boys. Average boys.
Oh, we
Why is everyone so fucking stupid?
Not everyone, just me. All right. This has been the Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast, episode 23 in the books. Matchup breakdowns. Can we officially name? Can we do one name for the breakdown for the matchups? Because we're just like, oh, we're doing the matchups. We need an official name. We need to come up with it right now.
What do you mean?
In this moment.
Like, give me an example.
Segment. What is this called when we go over the matchups?
Week 1 matchup?
Every week.
Week 4 matchups?
Matchup breakdowns, or is it matchup preview, or is it
Matchup.
week preview?
Yeah.
What's the best one?
Matchups?
All right, we'll come back to them. I'm having trouble titling these things.
Let us
all right?
brainstorm it.
Anyways,
This
this has been the average. This has been the average. That's what you guys do to me constantly. This has been the average
You're in
bros
Lava
fantasy
Land and
football.
we say something, you're like, oh,
Exactly.
Lamar Jackson, I'll start him over or Josh Allen.
Fuck you. This has been the Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast, episode 23 in the books. Matchup preview breakdowns reviews.
You can title the episode Lamar over Josh Allen.
Okay. Thank you for listening. We've been here. If you want, download the Thrive Fantasy Daily Fantasy app. Use promo code Average Bros. Get an extra $10 when you put $10 into the app. It's pretty dope. It's basically just prop betting. It's pretty awesome. Check it out. Do that for us. It supports the show. Also, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review and rating on the Apple Podcast app. We're also on every other podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, CastBox, all these different things. We're on all of them. If you want to ask us any questions, how to critique, if you want us to critique your lineup, tell you who to pick on waiver wire, stuff like that. We got kids sending us shit every single week. We just really set them up, So that's free advice. We got you.
Set them up for success, baby.
Hit us up on the Instagram at @AverageBros_fantasy football. So check us out there. And that's all I got, dude, for my the end of the podcast. I'm trying to distract while I pull this up. There it is. Thanks for listening. Episode 23.
Whee!
Bye.
Oh, you big boy.
Big boy.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun.